can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of P90X, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise25 hosts in-person VIP events and masterminds for top entrepreneurs all over the country. We hosted events this past year in Austin, Chicago, Santa Barbara, San Diego, New York, Sonoma, Vegas, more. I know we were there, Cary and Aley in Vegas at the same time, but we didn't see each other, unfortunately. If you see the value of immersing yourself with other top entrepreneurs to connect and collaborate to get your business to the next level, go to rise25.com, contact us, find out where our next event is going to be. And today I'm very excited. We have the co-founders of SafeSleeve, Cary Subel and Alaey Kumar, who are both industrial engineers from Cal Poly. SafeSleeve is a manufacturer of radiation blocking laptop and phone cases and accessories. Their distribution includes major retailers in the U.S. on Amazon, Walmart.com, Jet.com, along with SafeSleeve's website, and distributors in Europe, Australia, and Singapore. Cary and Aley, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
So I want to get into the journey. You know, you have an interesting journey, why you started the idea, but I wanted to start off and talk a little bit about the research, because people hear all sorts of tales of radiation causing this and that. People don't know what to believe. What are some of the recent studies? What are they talking about with radiation? I mean, I've even watched some YouTube videos where, again, like that's not science. I want to hear some of the research, but where they have some kind of EMF reader and they like walk across the room and it's still going off from this computer, and that freaked me out. So tell me what's out there with the actual research and not me watching YouTube videos with people with EMF readers.
Well, to that point, there's definitely, it's a hotly debated topic right now. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence on both sides, but the actual science behind it, the most recent study that's been done, and this was the largest scale study that's been done to date, it was actually a government-funded study. They spent $25 million of taxpayers' funds to conduct a 2-year study and expose rats to
They better have found
radiation.
Something if they spent our money on it, right?
So they exposed rats to cell phone radiation. And they exposed them for the course of 2 years and thousands of rats. And the 2 years is supposed to simulate the lifespan of a human.
Okay.
And, that's pretty typical to use rats in a study, like to see the effects of, something might have on human beings. So
no animals are harmed in this video, but you're, yes.
Well, unfortunately, some were.
Not in this particular video, but in the research, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So what they found was in increased rates of heart cancer, stomach cancer, and a certain type of malignant brain cancer. Mm-hmm. And so, actually, I should rewind a little bit. Those are the studies that came out that were actually being kind of buried for years. And the cell phone industry was spending millions in lobbyists and lawsuits trying to bury the results of the studies. And eventually, the government was sued. The organization that conducted the study was sued to release the results of the study because, after all, it's publicly funded and the results should be public. So this went through lawsuit after lawsuit. Eventually, it was won, and the studies were to be released. The results of the studies were to be released. It even went through an appeals process. Again, the cell phone industry is fighting it and spending millions in court trying to get it squashed. And it went all the way to the California Superior Court, and eventually it was decided that the results had to be released. And that's when we found out that there were increased cancer rates in these rats.
So what do people do? Obviously, there's cases like yours. What else people aren't going to stop talking on the phone or using computers or using iPads. What else have you found that is helpful?
So the recommendations typically, here's the thing. a lot of the recommendations you'll read are along the lines of what you're saying. Just, just don't talk on your phone as much. Unrealistic. So something like using speakerphone is going to be helpful. The biggest thing with an electronic device, especially a wireless electronic device, which is going to emit radio frequency radiation and lower frequencies from the electronic itself, the biggest thing is the distance. So if you keep the device as far away as possible, my computer right now is 2 feet away from us. Typically, you're going to see extremely...
That's why you're on the other side of the room. You're like,
exactly.
Here's my computer.
Yeah.
This thing is emitting radiation at me.
So there's a big drop-off. It's an exponential decay rate. So as soon as you pass kind of a threshold of where that radiation kind of bubble is, it falls off drastically. It's exponential. So as long as you keep kind of a safe distance, you're okay. The thing is, realistically...
How bad are Bluetooth headsets?
Bluetooth still does use radio frequency, and it's an electronic device. So while it's maybe not the same power as your cell phone, it's still, on your head, right next to your brain constantly. Yeah. So we definitely don't recommend Bluetooth devices. A cell phone, it's easy to say just use speakerphone, hold it out here. Who does that? It's designed to hold it up to your ear. A laptop is called a laptop for a reason. It's designed to be put on your lap. Tablet, same thing. So, we wanted to develop a solution that basically you don't have to compromise the functionality of your device. It's still gonna be
it's sort of a scary topic because kids are using these devices younger and younger, and so you see like a 2 or 3 year old watching a movie for 2 hours on an iPad with it right in front of their face. And it's, the effects, we don't even know what the effects will be like, So,
exactly.
So, I have predictions. I remember reading an article years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, of, a brain surgeon talking about the radiation of this stuff. So, it's out there. So why did this come across your radar, right? You guys are... industrial engineers at Cal Poly, people care about women, beer. I don't know. Why did you care about radiation at that time?
Well, the engineers didn't have time for the beer and the women.
Okay.
But sorry, just to rewind real quick before I answer that, because your point about children is a really good point. I'm glad you brought it up. There's actually a warning in your iPhone.
And our iPhones, out of the spectrum of phones, where does that fall? Is it higher emitting or is it in the middle? Obviously, a lot of people use iPhones. I don't actually have an iPhone, surprisingly, but I have a BlackBerry. But where does the iPhone fall?
It's typically like they're give or take going to be pretty similar.
They're similar.
There are. Versus like an Android device or something like that. I would say that it's not that there isn't a difference, it's just more so that all the same concepts apply. So whether you're using an Android or an iPhone, you should still use the same, practices to kind of reduce your exposure. But so there is a setting in the iPhone, or it's not a setting, it's a warning within the settings that's like buried deep within the settings of the RF exposure. And Android devices have it too, and if it's not in the phone itself, it's in the manual that came with the phone that no one ever reads.
Right.
And the reason why I bring it up, to your point about kids, is the warning basically says that you could be exceeding FCC regulation limits for radiation if you have the device directly on your body. So that brings up a couple points. One is that, obviously most people have the device directly on their body, whether it's in their pocket or they're holding it up to their head. The other thing is those FCC regulations that you're exceeding were based off a model that was simulating a 200-pound male. And so those regulations were set based on a 200-pound fully grown male, and those regulations were set, I think, back in '94, and they haven't been touched since. So your point about children, obviously whatever the exposure is for a 200-pound male, it's just exponentially exaggerated when it comes to a developing child.
Totally.
So
do
you want to talk to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to see if you want to talk to your question about how we kind of came up with the idea.
Yeah, it seems random.
It is.
Unless one of your parents is like a brain surgeon. You're like, we're seeing a lot of tumors in cell phone cases, but how did you come up with this idea?
Right. So basically in college, as anyone else in college, you're constantly on your laptop for homework, for assignments, so on and so forth. So that's kind of where we started noticing where a lot of our classmates and other individuals are on their devices all the time. And Cary had an experience with a friend or...
Yeah, not my parents, but my friend's dad was a neurologist, actually, to your point. So he told me, don't use your laptop on your lap. My dad says, like, it's bad for you, and it was just always kind of in the back of my mind. And I kind of told Alaey, and,
So that's kind of where it started. Instead of studying for finals as we should have been, we were developing... we did some initial research to see what was out there, to see if there's any other products on the market. And a lot of the things that we're seeing was similar to what we discussed previously, which is just keep the device away from you, which is not going to work if you're trying to get an A in the class.
Right.
So, and there were a couple of products on the market. They just weren't, let's say, aesthetically pleasing. We knew that the people around us weren't going to be willing to use that device or that case or that product because it didn't look very good. So that's the very initial stages of SafeSleeve, and that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, and so then at what point... Because, we all have ideas, some come, some go. At what point do you decide to actually pursue this? Because you guys ended up doing a crowdfunding campaign to start, right?
Yes, we actually did 2 crowdfunding campaigns. Initially, in the beginning, it was really just a lot of testing, R&D for the shielding material, kind of figuring out what compositions worked, what didn't, and there's also looking at kind of weight. If you remember, like if you go to the dentist and they put that big lead
totally
blanket over you, something like
you
that.
You should have one as a joke, just on your selling on your shop, like just wear this lead vest. We'll ship it to you. It'll be $1,000.
So something like that for numerous reasons, whether it be the lead, whether it be the weight.
How did you get access to test the materials? Is it because of the lab at Cal Poly, or were you ordering them?
That testing happened actually out after Cal Poly, so we did it outside of Cal Poly.
Yeah, it was a third-party lab that we found that specialized in testing this type of equipment, and we had to test in-house hundreds of different materials
materials,
and different specific combinations of metals and things like that to find the right formula to block radiation from a device effectively how we wanted to. And it's crazy. What we found is basically you can have a trace element that's like 0.3% of the composition, and if you change that to 0.2%, it all of a sudden doesn't effectively block radiation, or not even a little bit. So it's a super specific composition.
It's interesting. And so how long did that take you to develop, for you to actually develop, I'm assuming like some proprietary actually formula that blocks radiation that you put into the cases or accessories?
I think for the initial, let's say, release of product, right? Because as we continue to move on, we released the first one, and we knew that we could make it better, but we knew that we were 99% of the way there. So we continued to tweak and improve as time went on, but the first one was maybe like a year and a half
at least, yeah. Yeah.
So at what point in the journey do you decide, okay, we're going to put this up on and do a crowdfunding campaign?
Pretty much when we got the first prototype. So it all started with the laptop case. And that was because, I had this friend who told me, don't use your laptop on your lap. We all had cell phones, but it wasn't as big of a part of our lives at that point, which was, 2007, let's say.
Right.
And so we got the first prototype for the laptop case, which was a journey in itself. Once we had the shielding technology, we're like,
so you did the first prototype before you did the crowdfunding?
Yeah. We had a functioning prototype, and we made a video. That was pretty much we wanted to get to the point where we had a functioning prototype, which that's kind of what they, I think, require now pretty much on a crowdfunding.
Back then they didn't, I don't think you needed a functional.
I think Indiegogo, was a little looser on their requirements. Kickstarter, I think it was right around the time that we launched that they decided that you have to have a functioning prototype. It couldn't be CGI or anything like that. So
how much did it cost to actually develop this prototype? Because I imagine it went through a lot of iterations, a lot of research. What's kind of the ballpark of what you had to invest? Because at this point, you don't have a product, one you could sell, and so you're investing time. You don't know if it's going to work, right? So it's a time investment and money investment.
Yeah. Are we counting the legal fees?
Yes, definitely.
Because that was maybe the biggest chunk.
Really?
Yeah. Just, the IP process, like we wanted to, going into it, like trying to get this patented before we even hit the market.
Include legal fees for sure.
Yeah, ballpark. What are we talking? Before we got it on Kickstarter, we're probably looking at 20 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were bootstrapped. So we were both working full-time jobs right out of college and self-funding it.
Where is the patent process at now?
So we have patents pending on our cell phone cases, and the laptop case, as long ago as we launched, believe it or not, still going through the process.
Is that technology?
Long process.
Is that technology can be used in other means, like in clothing, other things?
For this particular combination that we're using, no. So again, for us, we were looking for this particular application, what's a solution that would give us the highest level of protection, and for that reason, there's certain things like it's not a fabric. Where you can kind of,
it's not flexible.
Have it woven, right?
Which those do exist, but they just don't block radiation as effectively.
Yeah, totally. So you launch it on Indiegogo. What happens?
Man, it was a while ago. What happened? Well, we were successful. We pretty much
because you did two times. Why two?
We did 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time was the laptop case, and we pretty much squeaked by in the 11th hour and hit our goal, which was awesome. And so we were able to. We already had our supply chain lined up and everything, so we were able to use those funds to get the order in, and we delivered pretty much on schedule, and our customers were happy.
It's probably rare.
Yeah. And pretty similar with the Kickstarter, right? So we did a Kickstarter.
You did a Kickstarter.
Well, so initially an Indiegogo for the laptop case, and then a year and a half later, we did the cell phone case on Kickstarter.
So what did you learn? What did you do differently the second time around? Because you probably learned some things.
I'd say one of the biggest things is, this is just the first thing that stands out to me, aside from, everything, like more
you did everything differently.
What was the, what was I going to say now? Oh, the outreach for PR. We put so much resources, so much time into trying to get some media coverage for our crowdfunding campaign. And what we realized is it's tough. And I mean, you gotta cast a very, very wide net, to maybe get one response, which maybe leads to one article on a small, publication. So
I think the other challenge we faced was, as Cary was mentioning, a lot of the more significant test results have come out recently. And when we started this 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there wasn't, even though we knew the writing was on the wall, there weren't as many publications that were available to get awareness around this type of product.
Yeah, totally. When you're early, it's tough too, right? You have to wait for the information, the people, and the market to catch up a little bit sometimes. So tell me like some of the challenges of the sourcing journey before we get into, okay, now you have another distribution that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Sourcing particularly for...
Yeah, like just creating the product. What are some of the challenges? It doesn't sound like an easy product to create.
No, so it comes
down
to...
Even for engineers at Cal Poly.
Yeah. Like we're saying before, getting the composition of materials and metals was the first challenge. but then getting suppliers who could be reliable, that can give us quality and the same quality of product. That was one of the challenges that we faced, was getting the same quality of whether it be a particular metal or a particular piece, getting the same exact quality every single time for a good price. So that was, we've gone through suppliers anywhere in Europe to some here locally. So it was a variety of different methods, some were word of mouth, some of it was, hey, I know this particular manufacturer here that makes something similar. So it was a lot of trial and error that got us there.
The communication, I think, is probably the biggest challenge initially when you're dealing with overseas suppliers. I mean, aside from the time delay and the language barrier, it's just trying to convey your message, mostly, almost entirely virtually, and, trying to get that communication back and forth. It takes time.
So tell me about the decision to launch another Kickstarter and another product, right? Because you could focus on the laptop case, or there's probably cell phone cases, or probably accessories. You can branch out in a number of different things. What made you make the decision to, we want to do another product?
I think large majority of it goes back to what you're talking about before, as far as kids, right? Kids aren't necessarily using laptops. Maybe now it has changed. iPads, right? But all kids have cell phones, and so for us it was very much this protects. The laptop case definitely works for older individuals, but we're not really helping or able to assist children today. So how can we drive the product in a way where we can help some of the newer generation? Yeah,
I mean
and we had so many. We had so many requests with the laptop case. We just had so many customers requesting the cell phone case that we realized, there's all the proof we need. Our customers are already asking us for a cell phone case. So.
Yeah. What's your method for launching a product now? Because then it sounds like you did the crowdfunding, which is smart, right? You're funding it with pre-sales, and also they're voting with their wallet that they want it. You have hundreds of products now. Tell me about that. What was the next one after laptop, cell phone? What was the next product, and then how you decided to release it?
So it's funny because when we came, the next product was our tablet cases, and we had that conversation. Should we go back to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, because it's a good way to get visibility. It's a great way to get visibility.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we decided that with the current following that we have, that we can just release it through our current channels and be successful that way.
Yeah.
I think Cary and I still have a little bit of a soft spot for crowdfunding, just because even if it's not from a financial backing standpoint,
you get exposure.
You have a higher opportunity for a product going viral.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome for a new brand trying to get launched, or if you're launching a whole new product. Like our tablet case, which is right here, was almost like a logical iteration of the cell phone case. It was like our cell phone case made a little bigger, just like the iPad was a cell phone made a little bit bigger.
How many colors do you have of that one?
This one, we have two right now. We have...
Because when you held that up, I didn't even think about it. You could have infinite number of colors. Too many decisions.
We definitely can. And we have.
So why those two? Why those two colors?
We found for sure this will always be one of our colors is black with a white stitch. It's just come to be our signature pattern and style. And we've also found that it's always going to be our biggest seller.
Yeah.
And red, we felt like is a good, just from, customer feedback, we know that it's a pretty good neutral color for women, but also, of all ages, but it's not too feminine. So if we have to pick two, it's going to be black and red. Yeah. This is just about everyone uses this. If you want something a little different, that's not too girly, but it's still maybe a little bit more feminine. And I definitely rock the red as well.
Yeah.
just seems to be our two most popular.
Go-to. Do you, so you were saying when you had enough base at this point, you could release another product, you can get feedback. How do you do that with the list? Do you have, do you release a survey? Do you get on the phone? What's your process for that product?
So you're looking at your customer service department for the the first 2 years of of SafeSleeve's existence. So having that, as much as that, I would recommend trying to remove yourself as a owner of the company from customer service. I would also highly recommend doing it for as long as you possibly can, because you will understand your customer, right? There's no better way to understand your customers. So it was really just through the conversations.
What were you hearing? What were they saying?
So initially when we had the laptop case, I can't even tell you the number of people that were asking me about a cell phone case.
Right.
And so, it was just through doing customer service, it's like, okay, we should probably do a cell phone case. And then that, still doing customer service through some of that turned into a tablet case, feedback about color, materials, design. I mean, one thing I realized, and this goes back to crowdfunding as well, is just how willing people are to help and how much they want to help. They want to be involved in your cause if you just explain to them what the cause is. Yeah. And they're more than willing to help to the point where they feel involved. So, it was just being transparent with our customers and potential customers and letting them know that, hey, we're growing, we want to improve, so you tell us how and we'll make it happen.
How does the cell phone case, when you first created, different now, or is it the same? Do you have to change it based off feedback or not at all?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just like everything else we do, whether it's shielding material, based on like we're talking about before with the shielding material, or any of our products, we're constantly making changes, improvements, adding additional functionality, sometimes taking functionality away if it's something that, is an added feature that people don't necessarily need or want. So the cell phone case has gone through many iterations, the latest being our detachable cell phone case. So initially they were all the cases were like your traditional wallet case were attached. Yeah. So they were attached, but this one is actually has a magnetic attachment feature. So you can basically, we have this, and you have vent mounts or car mounts. So if you're in your car, you can remove it, put it on your dash.
Oh, it's a magnetic car mount? Oh, that's cool.
So this is a desk mount, which, spoiler alert for anyone watching, will be coming out with something like this pretty soon, which I find myself using every day on my desk. Basically, I take my phone.
Yeah, actually.
I detach it, and then this just sits on my desk. You can adjust it. It's magnetic, so it easily, goes on and off, and it's super secure. So we have this kind of technology in the car too. We have vent mounts that go in the air vent. We have an adhesive style that can stick to just about any surface.
So that was a big change. We also went initially we only had credit card slots. Then we went to a credit card wallet. So there's a pocket for cash as well.
Yeah.
So there's the regular card slots here, which these have been improved and reinforced also. And we added a pouch here. You probably can't really see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
There's more storage in here. It's more secure. Another example, the magnetic latch now magnetizes to the back, so it stays out of the way when your case is open.
It's interesting because
lots of little things.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked, because people probably have a lot of suggestions and they mean well, but they don't know that now you have to recreate the whole product and order a whole new batch of them, and it's not it's not as easy as it seems. Oh yeah, I just want this latch to magnetize. Well, okay, now we got to add this in and redo the product essentially, right?
And you realize some customers understand that concept, and they're just a friendly suggestion. I'd love to see this, and it's funny how some get angry, like, why don't you make this for my phone? Like an HTC 10-year ago model that they sold 100 of. Like, we're sorry. I mean, we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, it's good. It means they're passionate about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now you have to order loads of them, and you have to now, forecast how many you're going to sell. So for cash flow and all of that, right? That can be a challenge. Talk about now, so that kind of talked about the sourcing journey a little bit and creation journey. Talk about the selling journey. Now you're starting to perfect the product. You have to buy a bunch of them. What moved the needle and helped you get them out to have people purchase? Tell me about the evolution a little bit. So you crowdfunding to start, and then what's the next evolution?
So from a marketing perspective, just how we kind of drove that traffic and those sales, we realized it's everything. It's not one silver bullet. We do SEO. We have someone on retainer for SEO. We have a digital marketing partner that runs Facebook ads, Instagram ads, display ads. We're doing retargeting ads. We're doing AdWords. And what we found is it really just everything has to come together, and you have to create, I think Tim Ferriss said this originally, which is surround sound effect, so that you're on you Google something and hey, SafeSleeve. You might not click it, but it's there, and you might not remember seeing it, but subconsciously you saw it. Then you go on Facebook and someone's talking about SafeSleeve. Then you go, your favorite YouTuber is doing a SafeSleeve review. And that surround sound effect is, something we've tried to harness, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of, but it's an endless effort.
And the additional challenge for any product that tries to do something like we do, in the sense of entering a market where you're ahead of kind of society responding to it, is you have to do a lot of knowledge
education.
Education, exactly. So that's where we spent a lot of time and resources, as far as making sure that we're helping explain why this is important, and making sure that the consumer is educated when they're purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a downside and upside, right? The upside is it differentiates you. The downside is you have to educate people, and I just want a cell phone case, I don't care. But what's been the most popular channel that people get it through? Facebook, really?
Well, they're ordering through our website,
right?
Which we
but they hear about it through Facebook.
But our Facebook ads are the biggest traffic driver and the biggest conversion driver.
Yeah.
And that's specifically Facebook, not Instagram, because now you can market on Facebook and they'll push it to Instagram, but specifically on the Facebook platform.
Yeah. Talk about, you mentioned Shopify. What other tools and software to use to run the business?
Ooh. So first of all, within Shopify, we have probably 30 apps, which is one thing I love about Shopify.
Yeah. What are your favorites?
Our favorite apps?
Yeah.
So we have, let's see, our upsell app is probably one of the most powerful that I would recommend. We have an app for, pop-up, an exit intent pop-up, hey, give us your email and we'll give you a discount. What else do we have? Of the 30, what I love is, our menu. We didn't love the menu on our website. We wanted more functionality, so we downloaded an app that we could completely customize our menu how we wanted it to function.
Right. Back-end stock notifications.
Yep. So on the back end, we got things like stock notifications, things to help us with our customer support, our returns, processing. It's endless. But in addition to Shopify, we are now using SKU Vault for our inventory management, which helps with, just gives us better visibility on our inventory, helps with kind of projecting, even though Alaey pretty much built a whole spreadsheet
that I refuse to go away from now.
Yeah.
But
for forecasting, it's his spreadsheet it's tailor-made for what we need for forecasting our orders. And with studying industrial engineering, and I think just as being an entrepreneur, you are probably lean by nature, or at least wanting to be lean, hopefully. And so we, over ordering, it can be as much of an issue as under ordering.
Totally.
We're in a place now where, fortunately, it's a great problem to have, but our problem is usually under ordering, not over ordering. So we're now just kind of blanket across the board bumping up our order quantities.
Yeah, it's a tough dance, right? Because you don't want to over-order your cash flow, but you want to be in supply for your customers.
Exactly, especially in the beginning when you're just getting started and proving the concept, and you don't really know. You can only do so much forecasting, right? And cash is probably a little bit tighter. So,
what's been the top 2 most popular products? I mean, I see like on the site people can go. I mean, the site is SafeSleeveCases.com, but you have for the iPhone, the iPad, other tablets, Android, other phones, your laptop. What are the top 2 products?
Our cell phone cases, in general, as a category, cell phone cases, and then iPhone, and then within iPhone, probably it's always going to be like the most recent.
One generation before.
One generation exactly before the most current iPhone. And with the current iPhone situation, you've got the iPhone 10, which is a little bit of an exception, but then the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus we would consider the current generation. So our most popular would be the 7, but at the same time the 6, 7, 8 are the same sizes. So as a whole, it's going to be all of our iPhone cases for the iPhone 6, 7, 8, and it's always going to be black with a white stitch like I mentioned. And our detachable is now gaining on our non-detachable version, which was previously our most popular.
So what did you want to be when you grew up? I read that Cary, for you weren't born here, right? And
right,
I was reading up, and your parents basically came here with nothing, right? And started from scratch.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what did you learn from them?
So, yeah, I mean, I think I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I, like, as a kid, I think I remember, like, it wasn't a want, it was as much as, like, I just thought that was normal because that's what my parents were.
Right,
they were
whatever
immigrants.
you're seeing is normal, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I was born in South Africa. I moved here when I was 2, so, the U.S. is pretty much all I know, but my culture and my whole family is very much South African. And they came here with nothing, like a lot of my family, that, even if you had money to bring over, by the time you're done with the exchange rate and, whatever you can bring and taxes and this and that, you're pretty much starting from scratch. They didn't have college degrees, and so they went from selling ties. I don't even know how they stumbled into that, but they were selling ties out of their trunk, out of the Del Mar Fair, which is like our local city fair that we have here, to getting a little kiosk in a mall, which somehow turned into a World Cup store when the World Cup was here in '94, and that turned into jewelry. So it was, just watching them hustle, and
now you make them sell your cases.
And now my mom is actually out back right now helping us with shipping. So it's awesome. It all comes full circle.
And Alaey, what about you? What did you want to do?
Yeah, kind of similar to Cary's. I don't know if I had really thought about what I wanted to be, but I felt like it was natural. My parents growing up had a deli in a small town, and I remember going to school, and my dad, every morning I would have deli sandwich from like kindergarten going on.
That sounds great.
First grade going on. But by the time you get to, 5th grade and 6th grade, you're over deli sandwiches. So I would trade them. I would start trading them for, I remember I traded for GoldenEye for Nintendo 64. I traded for movies. I'd have cash. I remember my dad came into my room one day. I had this Folgers coffee, like this old Folgers coffee, whatever containers, just crammed with like dollar bills. My dad's like, where does this come from? Like, I'm selling sandwiches at school. So
Pokemon cards, whatever.
So did you have to work at the deli growing up?
I did work there for like off and on growing up. Not when I was in 7th grade, but off and on.
Do they still have it?
They do still have it.
Okay. I want to visit it. Where is it?
It's in Sonoma County.
Okay. I'm going.
Okay.
That's what I did in college. I actually worked at a sub sandwich shop because I just wanted to have the food. So you probably hated it by the time you were older, but I was just getting started.
Right. I just wanted a regular peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I had a deli sandwich, and I don't like this anymore.
So where should people check out the deli? Who cares about SafeSleeve? Let's talk about the deli.
Yeah, right? Yeah. The deli is in Sebastopol, California.
Okay.
It's a Sequoia Mini Mart. It's a burger shop and the deli.
Okay, Cool. So take us to today. I don't know if you can reveal what's in the future. What products are you developing now, or are you just going to stick with what you got and just worry about, refining the systems and selling?
I don't know if we can go into specifics as far as what we're releasing, but I can say that I think that what will always be the case is continuing to push with, as we're talking about before, the education piece. Continue educating the public and anyone that we meet, anyone that comes across our website, as far as why this is important. And frankly, even if it's something where they decide they don't want the case, it's a matter of being aware of the device you have, the devices you have, and the implications they can, and as some scientists say, will have on your health. That is something that we're going to continue focusing on, continue growing.
What's been the most successful non-paid advertising? Like, have you had, I know, Cary, you mentioned YouTube. Have there been any influencers that have picked it up, or have you found more the SEO side of education is working better? And maybe it's a little tougher to track than a direct paid advertisement to a sale. But have you seen any traction? What's been the most traction as far as non-paid advertising?
I think easy word of mouth.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. Just word of mouth. It's a funny thing with our cases. I don't know what it is about it. Granted, obviously we're biased. We think it looks great, but somehow when you have this case, people will ask you about it. And even though they don't know just by looking at it that it's anti-radiation. So next thing you're explaining to someone, and we've found it's a 30-second elevator pitch that our customers can give to other future customers, and it's just been extremely effective for us. Our ratio of direct to website orders and branded search orders, so people coming to the internet to look for SafeSleeve, is probably way higher than you would expect to see from just about any direct consumer product.
Talk about, I always ask this because it's Inspired Insider, what's been, and it could be different for both of you, what's been the lowest moment in the business, and then on the flip side, what's been the proudest moment or milestone?
So, lowest moment, the first thing that came to mind is not one moment, but the multiple sleepless nights for things like, and I'm not talking about sitting there, coding or setting up an ad campaign. I'm talking about, using your customers' money or using a loan from family and friends to place an order of an inventory order, and knowing that it's with a new factory, and ultimately you're depending on, you're just trusting that they're going to get you the goods because you pay for it all up front before you have anything in hand. So that's more of a stressful side of it. Low moment, I'd say for me, just kind of spiritually, philosophically as an entrepreneur, I think everyone's going to face that moment of am I in the right place? Should I keep going down this path and full steam ahead, or should I go get a job? Should I suck it up, even though that's not what I wanted to do? I never envisioned myself going to work for someone else. Should I?
You're like, I could work 35 hours, have weekends off, paid vacation, or I could work 100 hours or more and not get paid vacation, not get paid sometimes.
Yep.
I mean, exactly. You could tell I've never thought about this before, but yeah.
Any entrepreneur has, right?
Yeah. So what do you tell yourself? Yeah, what do you tell yourself in that moment where you're like, oh my God, just the journey may be easier, not more fruitful, but maybe easier on the flip side. What do you tell yourself?
I try to flip how I frame it. I try to reframe it 180 degrees and basically think of the downside of taking that other path. The downside of where am I going to be in 10 years if I do go away from my dream and I choose to, do a U-turn and go the other way. And that the fear of, being 10 years down the line and saying I never went for it is what just drives me to keep pushing full steam ahead. And just trust my gut and keep going with it. I'd rather live, maybe not the successful life that I envision or the, whatever it is that I end up envisioning, but I'd rather live the life of trying to achieve that than not trying at all.
Totally. What about on the flip side, and then Alaey, we'll get to you. What about on the proudest moment or milestone that you remember that you hit that you were ecstatic about?
It's probably when we hit our first kind of, our first day on when I'm watching sales through Shopify and through Amazon, and we do a new marketing campaign, we launch a new product. So specifically when we launched our detachable cases, and, again, sleepless nights went into, we wanted to do this thing right from the get-go and apply everything we've learned from every other product and, hit the detachable and hit it hard. And the day we launched, we reached, we probably exceeded our previous high for sales in a day by 3 times. Huh. And that was counting the previous Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which is always going to be our biggest day. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind. And then it's honestly just every day. I don't want to sound too corny, but it's every day that I can come to the office and Alaey and I are working side by side. We worked, remotely with each other when he was working a full-time job. And now we can come to our office and our warehouse, and we have all of our product in our warehouse, and we're working side by side, and we have some awesome help. And so it's really every day I come to the office and realize that.
As you continue to grow, what do you think your next hire will be?
We actually just talked about this today.
Yeah, probably something design on the creative side. So
I'm surprised to hear that.
Hire,
why?
What's that?
I'm surprised to hear that, actually.
Well, so our most recent hire has been knocking it out of the park in terms of operations. Everything operations related, that's what she loves, and she does it super well. And that was always our first hire would have been that, and it was. Now that we have that in place, I think the next one would be the creative side.
And the reason why is, as Cary was mentioning, so we, again, bootstrap, smaller companies, you're going to outsource a lot of work. And when you do that, sometimes you hit home runs, sometimes it's not so great. And then you spend a lot of time finding, for one project, someone might work well, but the next time you have a next project, you might not even find the same person.
They may not be available anymore, so you have to find someone
Exactly.
else.
So for us, it's, we always have an idea and vision of what we want. We just need someone to create it. But now bringing that resource in-house where it's like we could just throw out ideas and keep pumping them out, it's going to allow us to move a lot faster.
Yeah. So you guys are the idea people, and you kind of hand it off to that person.
Exactly. I think part of that is we're kind of a sucker. I know myself at least, but I think I speak for Alaey too. We're a sucker for the aesthetics, and so something you don't think of it necessarily, but this direct to customer retail packaging that we design. Yeah. Every little subtle feature, we wanted the unboxing experience to be an impactful experience that matches the quality of our products. Yeah. So something like that is a project. And,
so kind of meshing the engineering with the design, get someone in there to be more hands-on with the design. I would just throw it in a poly bag, here, you guys have this nice case.
Right, and that's kind of what, going back to the very beginning, and we're thinking about, SafeSleeve and what we wanted to create. That was very much a part of it. We wanted a product that was absolutely superior when it came to the protection functionality. Right. But it also came with additional features, additional capabilities that these other products didn't offer, and then it also had a aesthetic feel to packaging, lifestyle, the whole package.
Yeah, totally. So Alaey,
sorry, that's because we do digital marketing, you constantly need new graphics and images, and you're running different ads and setting up new pages and making changes to the website. So there's a lot of design involved there.
Totally. Alaey, what about you? Low point and then proud moment.
Low point, I would say it was probably during one of the two crowdsourcing campaigns where Cary was mentioning he kind of squeaked by at the last minute. I was like, you put all this, because there's a lot of work up front, right? Do a whole lot of work up front, and then you hit go, and you just hope that everything kind of just fires and works. And you're still doing stuff as it's going, but then we made it through, and it was great. And then proudest moment would be probably this past year. Every business has a particular milestone, and we do this every year. We create at the beginning of the year, the end of the year, we create a plan for the next year, and this year's last year's milestone was a particularly let's say important one for me, and we exceeded that milestone last year, and that was a moment for me where I was very, very proud of that.
And that was like a revenue number, right?
It was a revenue number.
Yeah. What are some things that people should look out for, challenges of having co-founders, right? Because some people run the company, some people have two co-founders. I see, like you were saying, there's an advantage, right? But then there's other challenges. The advantage, like you may be having a low moment, Cary, and then like you may be like, you may be at just pumping and having a lot of energy and kind of taking that person up, right? Kind of like a workout partner. What are some of the challenges people should look out for navigating with a co-founder? I figure I could ask that because you're both together, so.
I will say it's funny. It's actually something that I read this article way back when Cary and I were working remotely, and it talked about how your business partner is like your significant other. Totally, yeah. And I told Cary this, and we laughed about it. But it's very much true. It's even in a significant other, you want someone. There's going to be peaks and valleys, and the understanding is you pull them up when they're down, and they pull you up when you're down. And it's a yin yang thing, and I think that very much works for Cary and myself. But going as far as
what do you tend to disagree on?
What do we disagree on?
Yeah,
man, he's been doing this for so long, and I agree with Alaey 100%. And I actually knew that he was going to say that before he said it, which also speaks to our partnership. But I think we've gotten to the point where we just understand each other so well that like we might disagree on things, but if you already know how the other person's going to...
Well, that's what I mean. You may know ahead of time, I'm going to bring this up. Alaey's going to shut it down because he doesn't like blah, blah, blah. What do you know that you will disagree? I mean, you'll work through it, but what do you know you will actually not agree on something, and you'll have to kind of argue. You both will have to argue with each other, not in like a nasty way, but...
I mean, the one that I could think of, and I don't know if this really happened recently, but... is 80-20 rule. The perfectionist will come out and say, one of us is like ready to hit go. Let's just move forward. Let's get it out there. We'll work out the kinks after it's launched. Just go. One of us will be like, well, hold on. Have we crossed our T's, dotted the I's? Have we checked everything we possibly can before we letting go out the door? That conversation has gotten, I would even say, probably heated.
Is one of you more like which one of you is more the perfectionist, and which one of you is more let's just go?
So
I'm gonna let Cary answer.
Well, I consider myself a perfectionist, which is the funny part. But in our partnership, I don't know if this just means Alaey is like too much of a perfectionist or what, but it's more so. I'd say more so. I'm more like ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
Whereas Alaey is a little bit more calculated. But then again, there are examples where it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
I think we just have our... If I could think of a specific example...
Your moment.
Can you think of any specific examples? Like, Detachable case, I think we were both on the same page. Let's just go for it.
I could think of... so you always try to hit... You always try to hit a mark. So let's say, we release cases for Apple products, and Apple leaks information, or they do, or someone else does, about suspicions as far as what the next product's going to be. And there was a particular time, and I think it was during our Kickstarter campaign, where we were going to release. We were trying to hit the mark for a product that Apple was just about to release. Right? They announced it, but as far as specifications, it wasn't necessarily out yet. And we, I think I was more gung ho on the let's just go for it. It was like probably one of the few times where I was like, let's just go for it, order more, and just get it out there. And Cary was like, well, what if? Because it was a new supplier, I think, at the time too, and we didn't know.
We hadn't even seen a sample, I don't think, of the case.
But I mean, it's things like that. I think the reason why it works is, as Cary was mentioning, there's times where it flops. One of us will be more conservative, one of us will be more gung ho, right. And it works out well because, typically the person that's more gung ho has been maybe more involved in whatever that project is, whatever that thing is, and the other person isn't. But the good thing is, because they haven't been as involved and they're more removed, they sometimes, the majority of the time, bring up good questions and good points where it's like, okay, you know what, if we actually, these are two things that we did overlook, but if we get that in now, then we are ready for like an 80-20 rule, just push out and go for it.
Totally.
That's true. I think it comes down to like the fallacy of sunken costs, I think it's called, where basically you've already invested so much in it. So if it's your baby, it's your project. For example, like if I'm working on something like a new packaging design, and Alaey's not involved in it at all, and then I say, hey, here it is, like we're gonna get them printed, and I just want to. I've been so in the weeds with this thing that I know it's perfect and I know it's ready, and then he looks and he's like, well, what about this, and that? And I think that goes both ways, to Alaey's point.
Right.
If you're the one that's in it, you're gonna you don't want to hear any feedback.
Yeah.
You feel like you thought of everything, but that can be a good thing.
Totally. No, I asked that because it is like a marriage, and it's not necessarily always an easy road to navigate. You have to talk about the decision making and everything like that. So, yeah, I appreciate you sharing some of the ways you navigate that. But I want to thank you guys both. This has been awesome. I want everyone to go and check out SafeSleeveCases.com. Anywhere else we should point people online besides the website?
Just our social channels. You can follow us on Facebook at SafeSleeve and Instagram at SafeSleeve as well.
Cool. Check them out so you don't get radiated by your phones, your tablets, your laptops, and your kids don't either. And I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
You know what I just thought of, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
We'll throw up a discount code, too, for anyone listening, and we'll make it RISE25 right behind you, and it'll be 25% off.
Yeah, so RISE25, 25% off, very generous of you, and put that, whoever's doing the show notes of this, put the RISE25 code on that page so people can grab it. So, thanks, guys.
All right,
thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out